Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back and thank you for supporting me. I'm Coretta. So in this video, I will be showing you how to make a embroidery and rhinestone design. Come on y'all, let's get started. For this project, I will be using my 5x12 repositional hoop. I will be using cutaway stabilizer, scissors. I'll be using rhinestone flock, Hotfix transfer tape. I will be using an edge brush, a wax pen, a t-shirt, thread for embroidery, and some rhinestones that I got from the baby's booty. I will leave a list of these items in the description of this video. To create the rhinestone and embroidery design, I am first going to design my file in Silhouette Studio Business Edition. I want my design to read, "You are enough." So I'm going to add text to the canvas. To add text, I am going to select the text tool on the left toolbar, and it is the letter A. I'm going to select anywhere on the canvas, and I am going to type "You are." Once I'm finished typing, I'm going to select anywhere on the canvas again. I will repeat these steps to type "enough." Now that I have my text, I am going to change the color to black. To change the color, I will select both sets of words, and then I'm going to select the fill panel on the right toolbar, and it is the icon that looks like a paint palette. I am going to then select black when the paint palette opens up. Next, I'm going to change the line color. So making sure that both of the words are selected, I am going to then select the line style panel, which is the icon that has the 3 lines. And I am going to select the second icon, which is the line color. And I'm going to select none, which is the square swatch with the X on it. Now I am going to select my fonts. To select the fonts, I am going to select UR, and then on the right toolbar, I'm going to select the text style panel, which is the icon with the uppercase A and the lowercase a. When the panel opens, I am going to select my font. For this project, I am going to be using bold marker. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to select bold marker. For the word enough, I am going to select enough, and then I'm going to select the font called Honey. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to select Honey. I also want to change the letter H to something a little bit more fancy, and I'm going to do that by adding a glyph. So to change the letter to a glyph, I'm going to make sure that my text is selected. On the text style panel, I am going to select the second icon, which is a G, and I'm going to select that. Then I want to double click on my text, and when the text edit mode opens up, I'm going to remove the letter H, and then again on the text style panel under the glyph tab, I'm going to make sure that the font is Honey, and I'm going to scroll down until I find the letter that I want to use. I'm going to then select the letter to add it to the canvas. And once I finish adding the letter to the canvas, I'm going to select anywhere on the canvas to close the edit mode. Because the word enough is in a script font, I am going to weld it so that it becomes one object. To weld it, I am going to select the text enough, and on the top menu, I'm going to select object, and I'm going to select modify and weld. Now that I have the font selected, I am going to size my design and arrange my text. But before I size my font, I want to point out that the bounding box around UR is actually larger than what the text is. So to get a more accurate size, I am going to make sure that UR is selected. On the top menu, I'm going to go to Object, and then I'm going to select Convert to Path. So now this is giving me a true size of my text. I don't have to do this for the word enough because I welded the script font, and so it automatically changed to its true size. So now I'm going to position the phrase together how I want it. Now that I have my phrase positioned how I want it, I am going to size the design to fit my 5x12 repositional hoop. I also want to keep in mind that I will be adding rhinestone scatter effect around my design. So I want to make sure that the design also is not too large for the shirt. So to size it, I am going to select the entire design. On the top toolbar, I'm going to select Object and then Group. On the top toolbar, with my phrase grouped and selected, I'm going to go to the top toolbar, and I am going to unlock the aspect ratio, and I'm going to change my width to 8.5 and hit enter, and I'm going to change my height to 4.5 and hit enter. With the design size to fit my embroidery hoop, I am going to now begin adding the scattered rhinestone effect. To begin the scattered rhinestone effect, I am going to make sure that my entire design is selected, and on the right toolbar, I'm going to select the offset panel, and it is the icon that looks like a star. I'm going to select offset, and then I'm going to change my distance to 0.155. And the distance will depend on how close you want your rhinestones to your embroidery design. For my design, I want them close, but not too close. So I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to select apply. Next, I'm going to change the color of the offset to red, and I'm going to change the line style to none. So to change the color, I'm going to select the fill panel, select red, select the line style panel, select the second icon, and select none. Now I'm going to convert the offset to rhinestones. To convert the offset to rhinestones, I am going to make sure that my offset is selected, and I am going to go to the top menu. I'm going to select panel, and I'm going to select rhinestones. On the rhinestone panel, there are 4 rhinestone effects. You have none, edge, linear, and radial. There is rhinestone sizes here. There are 4 rhinestone sizes. And then you have your rhinestone spacing, and the default is 0.039, and the spacing will determine how much space you want between your rhinestones. There is a freehand option to draw your own rhinestones, and there is a release rhinestone, and this is to ungroup the rhinestones so that each circle becomes an individual circle. And at the bottom is the rhinestone counter to let you know how many rhinestones are in your design. So to convert the offset, I am going to make sure that the offset is selected, and on the rhinestone panel, I'm going to select the rhinestone effect edge. I want the 10SS rhinestone size, and I'm going to change my spacing to 0.017 and hit enter. So with the first rhinestone offset still selected, I'm going to add another offset. So I'm going to move this panel over here for now, and then I'm going to go over to the right toolbar, and I'm going to open up the offset panel, and I'm going to switch this around because I want this over here and this over here. So my offset panel is now on the left and my rhinestone panel is on the right. I am going to go to my, with the first rhinestone offset still selected, I'm going to go over to the left onto the offset panel, and I'm going to select offset. The distance is going to remain at 0.155 because that's the last one that I used. I'm going to select apply. I'm going to change the color. So I'm going to select the fill panel, change that to red, change the line style to none. And I'm just going to close it by selecting the X. On the rhinestone panel, I'm going to select edge with the 10SS rhinestone size. And for this layer, I am going to change my spacing to 0.100 and hit enter. With the second rhinestone offset still selected, I'm going to go to the offset panel and I'm going to select offset. The distance is 0.155 and I'm going to select apply. I'm going to change the color to red, change the line color to none, X out of that. On the rhinestone panel, I'm going to select edge, and I'm going to select the 10SS, and I am going to change my spacing to 0.200 and hit enter. With the third rhinestone offset selected, I'm going to go back to the offset panel, select offset. The distance is 0.155. Hit enter. Change the color. Change the line style color. Select edge. Select 10SS. And I'm going to change the spacing to 0.300 and hit enter. With the fourth rhinestone effect still selected, I'm going to go to the offset and select offset. 0.155 is my distance. Select apply. Change the color. Change the line color. And on the rhinestone panel, I'm going to select edge, 10SS, and I am going to change the spacing to 0.400 and hit enter. I am going to do one more layer. So with the last offset still selected, I am going to select offset. The distance is 0.155. I'm going to hit apply, change the color to red, change the line style to none, X out of that. On the rhinestone panel, I'm going to select edge 10SS, and I'm going to change my spacing to 0.500 and hit enter. Now that I have all of my rhinestone layers, I'm going to move the text out of the way. So I'm going to put the text here. And then I'm going to select all of the rhinestone layers. And on the rhinestone panel, I'm going to select release rhinestones. Once the rhinestones are released, I am going to check to see if any of the rhinestones are overlapping and to see if I want to fix any of the rhinestones that may kind of be out of place or creating some gaps. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to close these panels for now. I'm going to zoom in and I'm just going to take a look at the rhinestone design. To move some rhinestone circles, I can select a rhinestone and I can move it with the mouse, or I can select a rhinestone and move it using the arrow key. To add rhinestones, I am going to select a rhinestone, hold down my Alt key, and I'm just going to drag a new rhinestone into its place like that. And I kind of like that. Kind of fill it in a little bit so we can get some more bling. I'm going to delete these rhinestones right here because I don't want those right there. And I'm going to delete these 4 right here as well using the delete key on my keyboard. So I'm selecting them and I'm going to use the delete key on my keyboard. Once I'm finished making my adjustments, I'm going to select all of the circles. So let me zoom out to make sure that I get all of the circles. And on the top toolbar, I'm going to select Object and Group. Now I'm going to save the design as an SVG so that I can upload it into Cricut Design Space to cut, and then I'm going to upload it into Embrilliance so that I can create an embroidery file. So to save the embroidery, I am going to, let me zoom out, move this up a little bit. I'm going to select the text design and I'm going to go to File on the top menu. And I'm going to select Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive. I am going to name my file. I am going to change the Save As type to SVG. And I'm going to select OK. To save the rhinestone template, I am going to select the rhinestone design. On the top menu, I'm going to select Object, and I'm going to select Group So it's already grouped, but if it wasn't, you would select group. And then I'm going to select object again. And I'm going to select make a compound path. If the color disappears, you just change it back. So I'm going to change it back to red. And I'm going to remove the line style. I'm going to change that to none. Then with the entire rhinestone template still selected, I am going to go to File on the top menu. I'm going to select Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive. I'm going to name my file. Once I name my file, I'm going to change my Save As type to SVG, and I'm going to select OK. So here in Embrilliance, I am using Stitch Artist Level 3. You can use Stitch Artist Level 2 to complete this project. I also have my multi-position hoop selected because I am using a single needle embroidery machine. I have a Brothers SE 1900. So I'm going to be using the multi-positional hoop. The first thing I'm going to do is add the design to the canvas. To add the design, I am going to go to the top toolbar and I'm going to select Create Design, which is the fourth icon from the right. On the tool pane, I am going to select Vector, which is the icon to the left under the word image. I am going to navigate to the location of my SVG. And I am going to select my SVG. So I have this SVG here named You Are Enough with EMB, which stands for embroidery. So I'm going to select that and I'm going to select open. If we take a look at the objects panel, I am going to select the plus sign and it's just going to expand the design. And so what I'm going to do is, as you can see, like there are the objects here, but the O and the O, the objects here are a part of the O, but they're not together. So I need to combine them. To combine all of the objects, I am going to stay in my objects panel and I'm going to select the O and I'm going to hold down my control key and I'm going to select the inside of the O. On the top menu, I'm going to select Create, Outline, and Combine Holes. I'm going to select the A, hold down my control key. I'm going to select the inside of the A, go to the top menu, select Create, Outline, Combine Holes. I will repeat this for the remaining word. Now I have my objects combined. I am going to convert this to stitches for the rhinestone template. So, but before I add the stitches, I want to check the size of my design. I designed the embroidery SVG at 8.5 in width by 4.5 in height. To check the size, I'm going to go to the right objects panel on the right, and I am going to select the entire design. So the entire design is selected, and then I'm going to go to the top toolbar, and I'm going to select the select object icon, and this is the sixth icon from the right. And then to the left on the tool pane, I can see that the size is in inches, and it has 8 by 1/2, and it has 4 by 1/2. And that is the fraction for 8.5 and 4.5. This matches the Silhouette Studio dimensions, and so there's nothing for me to do here. If the size was not correct, you would unlock the scale proportion and update your size. You can type it in decimals, and Embrilliance will correct it to fractions. Next, I'm going to create the stitches. So, making sure that I am on the Create Design icon, and on the right on the Objects panel, I am going to make sure that the entire design is selected. Then on the tool pane under Stitches, I am going to select the run stitch. And on stitches, there are 2 rows, and the run icon is on the top row of the stitches, and it is the second icon. On the right, on the property view, I'm going to select the run tab, and I'm going to change my type from single. I'm going to change it to bean, and the length is going to be 2.5, and the count is going to be 3 passes. Next, I'm going to create the satin column stitches. So making sure that the entire design is selected, I am going to go up to the toolbar, and I am going to select copy, and then I'm going to select paste. And it placed an exact copy on top. So if you see the objects panel, we have 2 objects here. With the second set selected, I am going to go to stitches, and I am going to select the satin column stitches. On the satin tab, I am going to make sure that my pattern says none. Also on the satin tab, I am going to select the split column here, and it is the second icon under density. And I'm going to change the column from 1 to 2. And I'm just going to highlight it and type it in and hit enter. And just so you can see what these stitches look like, I'm going to select the color tab. And then I'm going to select the color swatch. And I'm going to change this to a lighter color so you can see the satin column stitches. So you can see them here. So you can see that these are going to do 2 columns of satin stitches. If you look here on the H, you can see 2 columns of satin stitches. With the stitches complete, I am going to save the file. To save the file, I am going to select File, on the top menu, I am going to select Save as Stitch and Working File. I am going to name my file. And I want to change the Save As type. Your Save As type should be the file type for your embroidery machine. Mine is a PES. And so I'm going to select Save. So now I'm going to hoop my shirt. I am going to be using 2 pieces of cutaway stabilizer, and I'm going to use my 5x12 repositional hoop. When I am hooping my shirt, I want to make sure that I take into consideration that I'm going to be adding rhinestones to my shirt. And so with the embroidery design, I want to make sure that I don't get it too high, because I need it to be, the entire design has to be about 3 inches down from the bottom of the collar. And so I'm going to hoop my shirt and take into consideration that I will be adding a rhinestone outline on to the embroidery design. So I'm going to get this design embroidered, and I'm going to brush in the rhinestones. I'll be back to show how I am going to add the rhinestones to the embroidery design. If you want to know how to cut out a rhinestone template, check out my rhinestone tutorial playlist. I will leave a link to the playlist in the description of this video. All right, guys, let's see if the rhinestone template fits. And it fits. Yay, it fits. Okay. All right, it fits. Yay. Okay, so it fits. I am going to go get this press, and I'm going to bring it back to show you the final result. Okay, guys, let's see how it turned out. Oh, wow. Oh, that is so pretty. Wow, y'all see that sparkle? Wow, that is nice. It came out so nice. Oh, wow, that is really nice. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. All right, guys, that's all for now. I hope that you're able to follow along with my process. If you like this video and would like to see more, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and consider subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will respond back. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video.